go to the fridge, get the milk, and put on the table. And then what? Close the fridge. And then what? Get a glass. Pour the milk. Open the fridge. Put the milk back in the fridge. Close the fridge. Drink your milk. Put the cup in the sink. Go to the door. I'm running out of space here. All right. So see how I went from this first task. This was a single one, and then we can make as complicated as we want. All right. You're gonna say, but like that's not very smart, you know. You're assuming that the person doesn't know anything. Sometimes for a process like for example, in a manufacturing plant, you really have to go sometimes to the very small task. So you don't rely on the person. Does the operator understand the task or not? You know, sometimes you even have a jig so you can plug stuff in, and then the person only has to push one button, you know. That's how you mitigate like a process problems, but that's a different class. But see how like I actually create this path. There's no questions here. See, it's straightforward. It's go, do this task, do that task, do that task, and keep going just like executing tasks. So today we're not going to go over the very specific meaning of what's a square or a rectangle, what's like a, you know. So today the only thing that we're going to go is like is it a task, an action that you execute, or is it a loop or an if statement, you know, some question. All right. So we can actually turn this into something different. All right. So I'm going to clear this on my drawings. All right. So what if you say you start, go to the fridge, open the fridge, and then I'm going to add a question. Is there milk? All right. So this can go two ways. That's why this is a diamond. So I can actually have what if yes and what if no. Correct? So is there milk? And then I can do all the tasks that like they said that I did in the past. You know, the huge flow. So I'm going to just say previous flow, the flow that we had before, right? If not, so this was the previous end, right? Go to the door. If there's no milk, we're gonna say, okay, grab a juice box add milk to the groceries list. And then these two are going to follow the same path after that. Correct? But it kind of has to be in a way that you understand how you're going to write the code. Otherwise, it's not going to help you. Correct? So imagine like you're writing some code, right? So in Python. So usually we do like a, let's say that they have this first line, and there's something that's called go to. And then there's another one that's open the fridge. All right, and then it comes the if statement. How does the if statement work? And how do I know that this one is actually an if statement? Because what if it's not? What if it's a for loop? What if it's a while loop? You know? Okay, so what we're gonna see here is let's say if milk greater than 0, and then we have to remember that in Python we have to tab. In Python there's no curly brace for to organize your if statements and your loops and everything. Let me erase this. There's no, what we have to use is just a tab. So you're gonna have to add some space there, a tab, right? And then we're gonna say, if there's milk or milk is greater than 0, we're gonna do previous flow. Okay, now I'm done, right? I can go to the door. Go to the door. However, where do I add this other section? You know, so this there are two ways of doing this. The way that I draw this is with an else if. I don't know if this is exactly how you do it in Python, but I can search and add this at the end or in the description down here. Exactly what would be the syntax of the else if. Else if, because like there's new greater than 0. What's the other instances? I want to test for no milk, right? Else if milk equal to 0. And then I'm gonna run if milk equals to 0. Remember that you have to leave this tab, so that means this guy is actually inside of my else if statement. Then you do grab a juice box, and then add milk to groceries. And then I'm back here. Go to, all right. Let's look at the code here that I wrote and compare it to my block diagram or pseudocode or whatever you want to call it. So it starts, right? Then the first thing that happens, it says go to the fridge. I have a command, a task to actually just do all that. Open the fridge. I have a task to do all that. Then I have an if statement. If this statement is true, I go inside of my if statement. Yeah, so if this is true or yes, it goes in here and do previous flow, right? As soon as it's done, it jumps over the else if, because if this is true, this one for sure it's not, right? So then it goes back, go to the door. All right. The other option would be, what if this is actually false? Oops, no, that doesn't work. What happens if this statement is false? It's going to jump to the else if. If the else if statement here, milk equals to 0, is true, it's going to go in here. Correct? It's going to run. So if this is not true, so if this is false, it's going to jump to the else if. And the else if is actually that I have here is milk equals to 0. And then it's going to grab the juice box. So grab the juice box and then add milk to the groceries list. And then it goes back to go to the door. And then it ends. So do you guys see like how the way that I wrote this has a lot to do with the code that I wrote? Was there a way to actually do this same code differently? Of course. Let's clear the whole thing. Okay. So what if I don't know what? So we use if and else if, right? In the previous one. What if we don't know else if? We only want the if statements. We can do go to the fridge. Sorry. Open the fridge. If milk greater than 0, and then we're going to do previous flow. But if not, I can't add get a juice box here. Because if this is false, it's going to jump here. But if this is true, it's going to go in here and then it's going to still run get a juice box. But I don't want my daughter to actually get a milk and the juice box. And if there's milk, I don't want to add milk to the groceries list either. So how would be a way to actually do the same thing, you know? So what I'll be doing is I can do if. This is not the smartest way of doing this, but you can do if, and then you do milk equals to 0. And then if this is false, it's not gonna run this, right? It's just gonna jump over. But then if it goes milk equals to 0, then it's gonna go in here because this is gonna be true. This one was false, this one is true. So it was a grab, you know what I mean, this box. add milk. And then go to the door. But how does this code look like if I was going to actually create a pseudocode or block diagram or a flowchart? So it'll be still like a go to fridge, open fridge, and then there's milk, greater than 0, and then there's yes. If yes, I do previous flow. What if no? If no, I go. But this one runs this one command and then goes back. See? So this is how it looks. And then we do milk equals to 0, right? What are the answers? Yes. What if yes? Then grab juice. And then the next one is add milk. See how if this is no, it goes out. If it's yes, you run whatever it's inside and it goes back exactly in the same spot. And then go to the door. These two codes, they do exactly the same thing, right? But the way that I wrote this, it's actually gets me to a different program. And there's other ways of doing the same thing, you know? So the exercise for you is, can you grab some task where you have to create or get any task that you do in your day. We're gonna call this exercise code your day. It can be breakfast, it can be your morning before you leave your dorm from, you know, wake up, do this. You break down in tasks, you know, you have some questions in there. You create the flowchart, pseudo code or whatever you want to call it, flowchart, block diagram. And then you kind of like try to write the way that just like I did here. I know that there's no code on Python that go to the fridge. You know, you don't have to tell me that. There's no code. Wake up on when the alarm clock hits, you know. But that's how we're gonna do the exercise. You're gonna do this, and then you can bring to me and I can see it. I can check if it's correct. All right. And next one, we're going to cover how these blocks would look like if we're using a while loop, for loop, etc. Because like depending how you're going to create this, it's actually going to guide you how you're going to write the code. You don't know how the code's going to look like before you do it. All right. I hope it clarified what's expected from you guys to do a block diagram, or and to make this really work for you, each block has to means one command. One command means either input, x receive, input, message, or so this is a command. So it's just one line of whatever you would type in Python. All right. I can also have like on the bottom here, something for you to do, a little piece of code so you guys can, or the requirements for something that you would have to do one of this and actually write the real Python code. All right. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and look for me if you have any questions.